Hello everyone, it's Jazz here, and today I am here with my May monthly reading wrap-up as well as my June to be read. And despite the craziness that was this month, I did somehow manage to complete 4 books this month, which is usually my monthly goal. So I'm super excited to tell you about these, and let's go on with the show. The very first book that I completed in the month of May was Blameless, which is the 3rd book in the Parasol Protectorate series. I'm halfway through the series, which is really super exciting. Now, despite the fact last month that I mentioned that I was having like some issues with the beginning of this novel just because my favorite couple, Alexa and Connell, were in a rough patch. They were in a valley, and every couple goes through a valley, so I decided that I was gonna get my life together and just get over that factor. And once I got over that factor, I totally highly enjoyed Blameless. It's kind of different from the other books in the series just because it's not as much of a mystery as much of a like adventure kind of novel, and that made it a really interesting read and really exciting to read, and just something different in the series right in the middle where you start to go, oh, I'm in the middle of the series. It was actually a really nice change. I loved seeing the adventure of it and seeing all the characters travel around different places in the world, and also how they met a whole bunch of new characters. Some were great, some were like really endearingly annoying, some of them were just, you know, cray cray, you know. It was just fun because, you know, Templar Knights and other adventures and insanity. This was just as fun, if not more fun, than the other novels that I've read in this series, and thus I gave Blameless 5 stars. Okay, that's 10 fingers, but it was 5 stars. The next book that I completed was The Watch That Ends the Night by Alan Wolfe. This is a historical fiction book that is written in poetic verse, and it takes place on the Titanic. What is very interesting about this book is not just that it's written in poetic verse, but also that many of the people that are included in the perspectives in this are real people. They were real people that were on the Titanic, be they people that worked on it or people that were passengers. And also, there's even poems for like the shipwrecks, which was occasionally an amusing anecdote. It also contains some very interesting poems written from the perspective of the iceberg that Titanic hits, and it's very just artistic and interesting. It did take me a while to get around to this book. It's been on my shelf for a really long time, just because I was concerned that it was going to be a little bit depressing. But because I'm in a big historical fiction kick right now, and also because I put this on my 2016 reading list, I thought I would just jump into it and see what it had to offer. The good news is that because of the way it's written, and because there's a nice balance of people that survived as well as people that did not survive written about in this book, you do not feel depressed when you read it. You definitely focus more on the artwork of the piece. I also felt like it was a very nice reminder that there were real humans on the Titanic. It wasn't like a movie. Real things happened to these real people, and it really affected their lives. And it's an interesting reminder of that. I also learned a few facts about the Titanic that I didn't know about, and I'm really fond of watching a Titanic documentary, so I did know quite a bit about the Titanic, but I didn't know a few things, and I did learn it from here. A cool thing that is included at the end of this novel too is that the author wrote some short biographies about the people that he chose to include in this book, and so then you get to know more about what happened to them when they survived, or what was sort of maybe a myth about the person or things like that. I do feel like I like certain sections more than others. Certain people's perspectives were more interesting to me, or certain poems were there, but they weren't really there to be a poem. They were there to be a demonstration of what the person's thought were, or what the book kind of needed to express what was happening. So those weren't like always my super favorite parts, but it was still really valuable reading, I feel like, and I did really enjoy getting all the different perspectives and the way the book was laid out and the idea of the book. So I gave it 4 stars. Next book I completed was my reread of Anne of Green Gables. I decided to reread Anne of Green Gables just because I was in a really life low point moment, and when you are in those moments, you want to have a nice escape and just read something that's going to make you happy. And Anne of Green Gables is always going to make me happy because I just love Anne's character, and I just love everything about the way the book's set up and just her adventures and how she makes mistakes, but she doesn't like let it get her down. And she's a dreamer, which makes you want to be creative and dreamery and just whimsical, wild fun. I mean, there are some sad parts, granted, but they are like sad parts, but not deeply sad. So it's just all about the feels when you read an Anne of Green Gables. Excuse me if this book looks a little worse for wear, because in my stress, I thought, hey, I'm gonna take a bath and I'm going to read my book in the bath because it's a paperback and it shouldn't be too dangerous, and I splashed some water on my phone, went to save my phone, did the whole book inside the bathtub. If that's not an Anne Shirley like mistake, I don't know what is. It definitely, I had an Anne of Green Gables moment right then. That's okay, because I'm looking for new copies of some of these books, and if you've looked for all 8 books in the Anne of Green Gables series in a new copy and you don't just want this standard copy, you know how difficult that is. So I might have to just settle for 6 books. At least I own these, and that way if I get them wet, I will just hide them later. Yeah, mayhem and foolishness. Anyway, moving on. Obviously, because I love this book so much, I am giving this 5 stars because it is awesomeness in a box. And the last book that I completed in the month of May was The Wild Queen, The Days and Nights of Mary Queen of Scots. I still don't like this title. It still sounds weird to me, but you know, whatever. This book is the 7th book in a series called The Young Royals, which is a collection of different stories about different women monarch figures in their lives. So they're all historical fiction novels, but they're written in a way that you can read them in a bunch of different orders. Like, I've never read any of the other books, I've just read this one, but I didn't need to because they're all about a different person, and this one is obviously about Mary Queen of Scots, and it takes place pretty much over most of her life. It is written sort of in a way that it's like she's writing her own memoir. I chose this book because I was really interested in trying out a novel that was written about a real historical monarch figure. There are lots of books out there like that, but I've never read one, and I thought, why not start with a YA one, just because it'll be probably a little bit of an easier read, which this book really was. It is very short chaptered, and it's easy to take in sections of the book really easily and just kind of read it every once in a while. And that is something that's kind of good about the novel, indeed. Now, I wouldn't say that this book is traditionally exciting. It's definitely not something where I was on the edge of my seat to read the next chapter. Because, number one, I did know a little bit about Mary Queen of Scots. Maybe not everything, because that's one reason I decided to pick up the book, is to be inspired to learn more. But I did know some about her, and so thus I kind of knew where the story was going. I also feel like the book could have done with a little bit more dialogue in it, but because it is written in sort of that memoir kind of way, I could kind of excuse that, because nobody remembers every single ounce of dialogue that they've ever spoken in their life, so you don't really expect her to remember everything that was ever said to her. And that did actually bring some realism to the story, because some of it is somewhat speculation, because you don't, you weren't there, you don't know what happened exactly in the situations, and I thought that was actually a way to kind of get around some of those elements. Despite it not being traditionally exciting, I did find it really interesting. It's a really excellent book to read before you go to sleep, because it doesn't get you like amped and excited. It definitely is more of like a soothing sort of novel, despite the fact that if you don't want to read something depressing, you probably shouldn't read anything about Mary Queen of Scots, okay? Because anything that could go wrong for a woman went wrong for this woman. So I definitely would say if you're looking for an interesting historical fiction novel and you want to be inspired to learn more about Mary, Queen of Scots, or want to just know a little bit about her as a person, this is definitely a book that you might want to check out, and I gave this book 4 stars. On to my to be read for the month of June. So one book that I've already started in the month of June is Fairest by Gail Carson Levine. I've lost the dust jacket, so here's the book cover. I'm halfway through this, so I should be completing this really soon. Next book that I've already begun as well is Anne of Avonlea, because I thought, why not stay on the Anne of Green Gables train? I still do need to finish a few books in the series, so I might just power through all of them, because why the heck not? And it should be a fun reread. Lastly, I am at that point in my Shadowhunters readingness where I need to start the Infernal Devices series, so I'm going to read the first book in that series, which is the Clockwork Angel, I believe. Yes. And yeah, gotta get on that, read those books, so that when I read the final 3 Mortal Instruments books, I won't be spoiled, because I heard that's what happens if you don't do that, and I don't want to be spoiled. But very interested to try those books out, and hopefully I will like them as much as everyone else does. I will too probably have to find a new audiobook by then, but I haven't decided what that audiobook is, so I'll let you know what happens with that next month. So that was my May monthly wrap up, as well as my TBR for the month of June. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I felt very babbly and crazy, but you know, whatevs. And I will see you next week. Thank you for watching.